everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com. In today's news, the Financial Services Institute at HLSCC to be renamed in honor of Dr. Robert Mathavious, OBE. Also, Money Talk Kids Club launched by Mrs. Sasha Creaky to teach financial literacy. We also see a reenactment of the historic 1949 Great March to be held this Sunday in the BVI, and a look at the region. In Guyana, over 50% of the adult population vaccinated, and as we pan across to Antigua and Barbuda, parents as well as students are protesting the vaccine mandates as required by government for children to return to school. We have all the details and so much more in today's edition of 284 News.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new season of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and, bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. This season, I'm taking you on an entirely different journey, from chefs to dancers, philanthropists, communications specialists, and much more. I'm heading outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Bojangara, Jackson Lake, not forgetting Antigua. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing, and I'm so proud. Get ready to reason, reflect, and redirect. We are the movers and shakers of this generation, and we ain't afraid to show it. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 3 by yours truly, Ron Grant, raising a generation of greatness.
A pleasant good afternoon to one and all. My name is Javon Wilson. So thrilled to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands with 284 News. Now, we're a little early today, but that, of course, is only because we want to bring you some additional content. So keep it locked up until 9 p.m. tonight. But beginning our newscast today, we see the Premier and Minister for Finance, Honorable Andrew A. Foy, attending the first day of the Joint Ministerial Council meetings in London with the new Minister for Overseas Territories, the Right Honorable Amanda Millen, also leaders from other overseas territories. Now, viewers, also present were other UK ministers with whom the OT leaders discussed priority areas for engagement and cooperation. They also met with Foreign Secretary, the Right Honorable Elizabeth Truss. Now, viewers, in today's meeting, Premier made contributions in the area of environment and oceans, IMO instruments implementation code 3, that is, and the UK-OT relationship and on economic resilience. The Premier is also pictured here, as you can see, with other OT leaders and the new OT minister. As we dive right in, the Financial Services Institute at the H. Laverty Stout Community College, HLSCC, will be renamed the HLSCC Robert Mathavious Institute of Financial Services in honor of the financial services stalwart, Dr. Robert Mathavious, OBE. Dr. Mathavious, who served the British Virgin Islands for nearly 40 years across the finance and volunteer sectors, is widely acknowledged as the chief architect behind BVI's financial services sector, a sector which now contributes more than 60% to the territory's GDP. He was the key advocate for the establishment of the Financial Service Commission, for which he served as the managing director from its inception until his retirement in 2020. Now, viewers, the president of the H. Laverty Stout Community College, Dr. Richard Georges, explained that the Financial Services Institute at HLSCC, which was created in 2002, was in large part due to Dr. Mathavious's vision and passion for the education and elevation of BVI landers. Dr. Georges said, and I quote, "In 2020, after 18 years of service as the chair of the Financial Services Institute's Administrative Committee, it is a fitting gesture on behalf of the HLSCC Board of Governors to rename the Financial Services Institute at HLSCC in Dr. Mathavious's honor. We hope that his effort to monumentalize him demonstrates the deep and abiding appreciation that the college has for all that he has done. End of quote. In addition to the renaming of the institute, Dr. Georges also announced that the college has officially designated an area on its main campus in Paraquita Bay for the construction of its renamed institute. The Financial Services Institute at HLSCC has served as a facilitator for the development of intellectual capital within the British Virgin Islands financial services industry and an enabler to ensure that employees within the sector have support in attaining internationally recognized benchmark qualifications. Offering professional programs since 2002, the Financial Services Institute is a center of excellence in education and training in the financial services industry. Over the years, the Institute has conducted courses in individual subject examined by professional organizations such as the International Compliance Association, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, CGI, the Governance Institute, and the Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners. Students attending the Institute come from a variety of backgrounds and a variety of age groups. Although the majority of students are already employed within the financial services industry, others who have ambitions to break into the industry, come directly from an associate degree course at HLSCC, the public service, or other private sectors. The Financial Services Institute was launched on October 9th, 2002. At the second HLSCC Caribbean Practical Due Diligence Symposium. The first co-directors were Samuel Lohan, a Geneva-based lawyer, and Dr. Michael O'Neill, the vice president of HLSCC. Now, viewers, as we move on, and on the very note of financial literacy, many of us as adults have had to learn the harsh consequences of poor money management. Whether that means falling behind on rent sometimes, being buried in debts. Those are just some of the pitfalls if we're not careful, and viewers, if we're not intentional, our children also tend to follow suit. Now, the CEO of Money Talks Kids Club, BVI, Ms. Sasha Cricky, thinks that it is imperative that we begin to teach financial literacy sooner rather than later to the younger generations. Also, research suggests that many of our financial habits are set by age 7. So, if those good habits aren't formed early, it then becomes even more harder to point our children in the right direction. Now, viewers, today we had the opportunity to sit down with Mrs. Cricky. We also spoke to the importance of the school's curriculum and whether it makes enough space for financial education. Mrs. Cricky explained the importance of personalizing education. You mentioned a very key thing. There's only so much that one person, one entity can do, which brings me back to the importance of it's still taking a village to raise this child. And we're going to get into that a little bit further, but I want to dive a little bit more into the curriculum, the school's curriculum. Are you satisfied that within that system, the school system, that we are doing enough to prepare our children for financial prudence?
One thing that I've grown to learn due to my certification as a Montessori educator is that you have different ways of how children receive information, how they learn. And if you're sticking to the regular classroom setting in the sense where you're on a platform or a smart board or what have you, and you're trying to embed or instill information in a child's mind, there's only so much of these children within the room that will grasp this concept. Now, what Money Talks Kids Club do is that we tackle the audio learner, the kinesthetic learner, the visual learner, you know. So all these learners, we have a strong curriculum which definitely caters to all of that. What I am keen to do, which I'm not certain if it's being done here per se, but it's more like, you know, exposing the children to, like, say, the workplace. Okay, you know how parents get money, but do you really know how parents get money?
Yes.
Do you really know how that works?
No.
So let's go out in the field and let's talk to somebody. Let's have you probably sit down at a desk, probably for a day or whatever, a weekend or whatever, and see how it works. And then you'll definitely grow to understand. Because I, as a child, used to just go to my mom every minute. Mom, I need a new pair of sneakers or whatever. Sasha, I don't have that money. Okay, wow. Now I'm in my mind like, okay, how can she not have money?
Right.
I'm thinking that it grows on tree. So by exposing children to the workplace, even though I know some parents are like, oh my goodness, I see them at home. Why do I have to see them
Yes.
here? No, they're here to learn.
Right.
Yes, so that's what my take is on that. And by getting children to be more involved, more hands-on, will help drive the message home.
Now, Vera's the founder also detailed the program, and of course, that is now being offered by Money Talks Kids Club, and how this can be of benefit even to your child.
Well, we are open to students age 5 and up. I say 5 and up because we want to keep that market open, because one of the things that I've realized is that after speaking to some parents about the program who have initiated interest, they're like, okay, can you do it for us, adults? And we're like, okay, we're getting there, but let's just deal with the children first, because that's my forte. That's what my passion is driving me towards, trying to help the children. In terms of the curriculum in itself, we have the value of money. We also have like how to be self-sufficient for children, how to budget, plan, save. That is one of our prime topics. Credit, which is something that is dear to me because I was a credit officer for quite some time.
Yes.
We have how debt works, how to avoid it. That's a major conversation that a lot of people come to me, or at least came to me, in order to, like, you know, get more insight about how can I get out of that. Well, let's change that conversation and about
How do we avoid
not
it?
to.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Cricky has 14 years of experience in the financial services industry, both retail and commercial banking. During her employment at the VP Bank BVI Limited, she was a financial advisor to many high net worth clients, and was also part of Money Matters BVI, and also a member of the BVI Bank Association for a term of 3 years. These two entities were responsible for educating the public regarding finance, which Ms. Cricky has adopted and is now in a position, she says, to pass this knowledge on to the children of the BVI. Now, viewers, the full interviews airs right after this newscast, so be sure to tune in at 6:30 p.m. to view that. Now, ahead of the break, VICA, the Virgin Islands Communal Association, is now set to host a reenactment of what we consider to be a historic time in the BVI, the 1949 Great March. We get into the details right after this commercial break, so stick with us.
You value traditions. You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, in 1949, the BVI organized what we call the 1949 Great March, a historic demonstration that even by today's standards is of great significance to the history and the autonomy of the British Virgin Islands. Now, the historic demonstration was led by one of the territory's heroes, Mr. Theodore Faulkner of Anegada, and he was joined by other national heroes of the day, namely Mr. Isaac Glanny Fonseca and Carlton de Castro. And get this, over 1,500 British Virgin Islanders as they marched through the streets of Roetown to the Commissioner's office in protest of issues adversely impacting the territory. In process of time, it was the flame that lit the path to constitutional, political, economic, and social development. Now, viewers, this Sunday, November 21st, the Virgin Islands Communal Association will be hosting a reenactment of that 1949 Great March in an effort to remind BVI Islanders of the journey and growth especially as we sit at this very critical juncture where that very autonomy now comes into question. Now, viewers, we also had the opportunity to sit down with organizers, Bishop John Klein, as well as the former Chief Education Officer, Mr. Elroy Turnbull. They spoke to what led to that 1949 march. Let's watch.
It is important to understand that at that time, the Virgin Islands were basically governed, I think, out of the Leeward Islands, Antigua. And so many of the decisions that were made either by the representative from the UK or out of Antigua. So these men sought self-governance. Like, you know, he said, let me read something to you what Theodore Faulkner said to the governor 73 years ago. He said, we have the desire to decide our own local affairs and with our own selves. He said, we have outgrown the undesirable stage where one official or an official clique make decision for us. He further told the governor, he said, we are asking the privileged to decide our own money, how our own money is spent, and how we shall be, and what shall be our own presidential law and politics. So in effect, what he was saying, you know, we are mature enough at this point in our history to make some decision for ourselves and how to spend our own money. And I think what that meant for the BVI then was what sparked us now into a more modern political system. The parliamentary system which we have now is a result of that action taken on that day.
Now, viewers, those are two of the visionaries behind the reenactment that we anticipate to be well supported this weekend. Now, we also spoke to the importance of the younger generation, not only knowing the history of the BVI, but also preserving and carrying it forward. What steps do you think we can take as a territory to ensure that the next generation is aware of not only the restoration of the Legislative Council, but how it has impacted our growth and development as a territory? And of course, to ensure that we never truly forget our history. You know, when I think about culture, BVI culture in particular, you know, there's an African term that comes back to me, Sankofa, and it really means to go back and get. And I think oftentimes in order for us, or what hinders us from moving forward progressively, is not knowing whence we came from. So I think it's very important that the next generation can not only be knowledgeable of, but really capitalize on that history. What can we do as a territory to ensure that this history is preserved?
Well, I think I'm trying to think of the right name of it, the junior legislature, what's the right name? That they have where they have...
the youth parliamentarians?
Youth parliament, correct.
Yes.
I think that's an important step towards the future in terms of having information about where we were and where we want to go. And therefore, if we can also have some of that in the schools in terms of preparing the students for the future,
Yes.
I think we would have done extremely well. But that youth parliament is a very important tool to taking us further and forward.
Excellent. Passing the torch. Anything you'd like to add, Pastor Klein?
For sure. Education, getting our youth involved, the conversation like these, dialogue, it must be us conversation. It must be government speaking, social organization putting the information out there. I would like to see next year that this holiday be remembered in a significant way from the bottom up and from the top down. Schools are involved, churches are involved, government is involved, and all of the general public involved. and let us remember, I mean, there's nothing more important in the United States than 4th of July, which they celebrate for their independence. And every country have their pride and have steep in their blood these kinds of things. So the more we can tell our story to the next generation, the more we put them in a position to not only fight, not only stand courageously for what has been fought for, but to improve on it and tell their children and their children's children.
Viewers, of course, to view that full exclusive interview, including pivotal points about our history, you can definitely tune in at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Now, a look at the region. Guyana has reached a milestone in its coronavirus COVID-19 battle, as 261,811 adults are now vaccinated against the life-threatening virus. Now, viewers, this figure represents 51% of adults. As of Monday, we saw 391,521 adults, or just about 76.3% of the population having received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. We're going to go to a quick clip that came out of Guyana from the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. Listen in.
Well, I just want to make something very clear, and that is we are at 51% of the adult population. So this is not the entire Guyanese population. So of the adult population, we have just achieved 51%, right? So if we look at the breakdown for that, Region 1, we are at 43.2%. This is persons who have been fully vaccinated. So we are at 43.2% in Region 1, Region 2, 41.6%, Region 3 at 48.9%, Region 4 at 58.5%, Region 5 at 51.9%, Region 6 at 49.8%, Region 7 at 46.9%, Region 8 at 34.8%, Region 9 at 53.4%, and Region 10 at 22.3%. So these are persons 18 years and over who would have received both doses of their vaccines, right? So we still have that population from neonatal right up to 18 or 17 that that's not factored into these numbers here. Okay, so this is the adult population where we're looking at the second dose.
That was Dr. Frank Anthony, the Minister of Health in Guyana. Now, viewers, Guyana is using the Johnson & Johnson, Oxford AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, Pfizer, and Sputnik V vaccines. Now, despite the good news, the country continues to record new infections. About 55 were recorded within the last 24 hours to take active infections to 2,412. Of that figure, 50 persons are now hospitalized. Now, still ahead of the break, a U.S. Virgin Islands dad now charged for allegedly pepper spraying his kids. We get into the details of that, as well as a protest breaking out in Antigua and Barbuda. Parents and students are now seemingly against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate that is being handed down by government. Stick with us.
blood of Jesus that line here long like church service.
Alright, you enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, as we take a look across the borders, the USVI, a father of 5, was granted bail when he appeared before U.S. Virgin Islands magistrate charged with second-degree assault and simple assault and battery. Now, the charges stemmed from a confrontation on Saturday night when Wilfredo Carmona allegedly pepper-sprayed 3 of his minor children while he and his estranged wife engaged in a physical altercation. Documents submitted to the court allege that the minors aged 17, 11, and 7 left without Cameron's consent to get a soda. When they returned, Carmona refused to let the children inside. Now, viewers, the children returned with their mother, and she was unsuccessful in getting Carmona to let the children in. The children told police that they attempted to gain entry into the home through a window, and that's when Carmona, their father, allegedly sprayed them with the pepper spray. The court heard that Carmona's alleged target was not the children, but his estranged wife. He alleges that the woman attacked him once and that the children gained access into the home. He alleged that the woman attacked him once she and the children gained access into the home. Now, the magistrate, Ernest Morris Jr., did set bail at $1,000. He was permitted to post $101 in cash and sign an unsecured bond for the remainder. As we move on, disgruntled parents and students protested outside Antigua and Barbuda's Ministry of Education just earlier this morning against the government's decision to enforce a vaccine mandate in schools. Currently, children between 12 and 18 years old who are not vaccinated against the coronavirus cannot attend school, but an online platform is available for the students to continue their education. Now, viewers, just last week, the Ministry of Education said around 3,000 of the 8,000 students who are eligible to receive the Pfizer biotech vaccine are currently unvaccinated. One activist spoke to the media and said the children are suffering under the current policy. That activist said, and I quote, "Our children are languishing for a want of good policy and a good system in Antigua and Barbuda. Remote learning is a national disaster, and our children have not been able to get an adequate education as demanded by the Education Act of Antigua and Barbuda," he said. He continued, "We have to stand up for our children. If we don't stand up, we are going to have a set of children that are not educated, that cannot pass CXC, that cannot get good jobs, and that just makes us beggars in Antigua and Barbuda." End of quote. That was coming from one of the protesters this morning. Now, Prime Minister Mr. Gaston Browne made it clear last month that the country will not be limping into 2022 with the burden of unvaccinated citizens. Mr. Gaston Browne said, and I quote, "We are not going into 2022 limping and creating more stress and strain for the economy. The economy cannot take any more stress. And those who may want to suggest that it may be responsible for us to do so, well, you know what? Our people have had several months to get vaccinated." The government has plans to vaccinate over 60,000 citizens and residents by the end of this year. Just over 52,000 are now vaccinated. Viewers, that is all the time we have for today, but do join us again tomorrow. My name is Javon Wilson, saying bye-bye.